The ring.
The ring. Damn it, the damn ring. Sorry, watch my language, but damn it.
And I had heard that he had asked for the ring back, and Kacie said no, and I don't know.
I don't need the ring back.
I have the ring with me.
Okay.
It's totally yours if you want it. The passion around the ring, honestly, last night I was at a concert and this girl yelled at me.
Where do you stand on the RingGate? Are we Team Kacie or Team Patrick?
Oh, that's messy.
Listen, I've covered a lot of reality TV drama in my time, but this ring situation has layers I genuinely did not see coming. We're talking about a breakup that happened in hours, confusion that lasted nearly 2 years, and a resolution that involved an NBA star in a three-point contest. And before you think you know how this story goes, trust me, the contradictions I found buried in these podcast interviews are absolutely wild. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why this isn't really about a ring at all. Before we get into the absolute chaos of this situation, smash that subscribe button if you love reality TV deep dives. Hit that like button because it genuinely helps the channel grow. And definitely hit that new hype button. It's YouTube's latest way to support creators, and it helps us reach more tea lovers like you. Trust me, you'll want to be subscribed because the plot twists in this story are genuinely unhinged. First, let's talk about something most viewers completely misunderstand: the economics of these engagement rings. This isn't The Bachelor, where contestants are getting six-figure Neil Lane diamonds with a 2-year relationship clause. Love is Blind rings are provided by production. They're lab-grown diamonds.
Does production let you keep the ring no matter? Oh, because Bachelor, you have to be together for 2 years and then you can keep the ring.
Okay.
But otherwise you have to give it back. So they're handing out rings like candy and not getting them back?
Yeah. Is on The Bachelor though, are they real diamonds?
Yeah.
Were these not?
These are lab grown. Yeah.
So how much would your ring be worth?
I guess my ring was $5,000, but if I tried to sell it, which I haven't,
Okay.
I've heard it's like half, like there's no point in selling it.
Kacie's pear-shaped ring was apparently worth about $5,000, though she notes the resale value is roughly half that, making the whole keep it or return it debate somewhat ridiculous. Here's how it works. When couples get close to engagement, they discuss preferences. The production jeweler offers options. The person proposing picks one. According to Kacie, she ended up getting the best ring out of the lot because she's the only one that wanted a pear-shaped diamond, which ended up being one of the better options that the jeweler had to offer. But nonetheless, these were lab-grown, so nobody was dropping their life savings on this, which makes the fact that this ring became such a massive controversy even more absurd. But trust me, once you understand the full timeline of what went down, you'll see why a $5,000 lab diamond became the symbol of something much deeper. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should contestants keep rings from failed engagements? Or is that basically keeping a participation trophy from a relationship? Here's what actually happened. And the timeline is crucial to understanding why both Patrick and Kacie feel justified in their completely opposite narratives. Patrick and Kacie got engaged in the pods after what Patrick describes as a genuine connection. They were both full of life types. Patrick thought he'd found someone who understood him. Kacie thought she'd found someone she could build something with. They had their reveal. And according to Kacie, within hours, not days, hours, she knew something was wrong. She told production she wanted to leave. She didn't want to go to Baja. Now, here's the detail that makes this fascinating. Kacie says she fully believed she was in love with Patrick at that reveal moment. She describes touching him, crying, feeling awful about what she was about to do. But she also told production, on camera, in a confessional, that she didn't think her attraction to him could grow within the show's compressed timeline. Patrick didn't find out about that confessional until a month before the show aired. That's roughly a year and a half of him wondering what he did wrong. But wait until you hear what happened the night of the reveal, because this is where their stories start to completely diverge. Kacie's version.
This is how I'm feeling. Let's just go back to Denver. It is crazy, this show. I thought I was full blown in love with this man.
So at this point where you say you don't want to do the show anymore, you're still feeling in love with him.
Yeah, like that's why I'm touching him and stuff. I feel so bad.
Yeah,
because I'm like, I've never done this. Like normally I'd meet a guy and I'm like, oh, he's hot, and I date him or something. It was like, okay, now we're reversing this situation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take this slower when we go back to Denver.
Right.
When we were at the hotel, he said, do you have the ring? I said, yeah. And he was like, do you get to keep it? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, I want you to keep it. And I said, okay.
Patrick's version. She showed up, said she was leaving, wouldn't give him clear answers about what this meant for their relationship. The whole interaction was confusing and painful. Here's what's fascinating. They both described the same physical interaction. Kacie touching him, some level of affection, crying, emotional intensity. But the emotional subtext they took from that moment couldn't be more different. And here's the kicker that explains so much of Patrick's hurt. At the reunion, Patrick mentions that he thought only 5 couples were going to Baja. Kacie confirms this. She thought production was only taking 5 of the 6 engaged couples, so she was essentially eliminating herself and Patrick from the competition. But apparently production would have budgeted for all 6 if needed. Kacie didn't know that at the time, so in Kacie's mind, she was making a practical decision to avoid embarrassment. In Patrick's mind, she gave up on them without even trying. Tell me in the comments, would you rather someone break up with you immediately or string you along while they figure things out? But the Denver situation is where things get truly messy, and what Kacie revealed about the timeline is honestly shocking. They got back to Denver on a Friday.
We get back to Denver. I reach out to him. I'm so sick of everybody saying I ghosted him. I did not. I reached out to him. I have all the texts, and I was like, I'm thinking of you. They're really, I cared about him. Like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, was I not your picture perfect man? And I'm like, no, like, not no. Like,
Right.
I was like, it's just like a weird experience that I need to slow it down like a little bit. And there was stuff going on off camera that I was like, I'm good. I'm out. I'm done.
With him?
No, with
Production.
Yeah, just like things that I was like,
It did, yeah. Because the show says that you told production that you weren't obsessed with his looks. Can you unpack that?
I just said I don't think my attraction can grow this much at this time.
You know, you're clearly like having affection with Patrick, and you're hugging him and you're crying and you're saying you feel bad. And were you trying to break up with him, or you were just trying to leave the show?
I was just trying to leave the show.
By Saturday morning, Patrick was texting her asking what they should tell people at the group meetup that night.
By Saturday morning, he was like, we were all meeting up with the group that night and meeting everybody in person for the first time. And he's like, what are we going to tell people? And I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
Just like, that's between us. No, I'm going to tell him you broke it off and you didn't want to go to Baja and you broke up with me. And I was like, that's not it.
You're like, that's partially true. I didn't want to go to Baja,
Yeah.
but you didn't want to break it off.
No, I was like, can we just talk Monday or Tuesday? This conversation deserves a little time when I'm less emotional. You're not going to get the answer you want right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Patrick wanted clarity. They were about to see the entire cast, many of whom had just gotten back from Baja thinking Patrick and Kacie were engaged.
Within a day, he's trying to meet up with us, and that's like inviting us out. I just text her, what do you like want me to tell everyone? I don't know what to tell everyone, because are we still like dating? Are we like engaged? Like, I don't know where we're at. And she's just told me that we need to tell everyone that we're broken up for now. So I just was like right there, just like set off a fuse.
Patrick didn't want to walk into that situation with no game plan. Kacie asked for time. That night, they met up with the cast.
Well, then we went and met up. He barely talked to me. He came up to me, gave me a side head, hi ex-wifey. And he texted me an apology the next day. And then all of a sudden, not like kidding, he was like, did you watch the Oscars with your mom? Also, can I get the ring back for memorabilia?
Here's where their interpretations split completely. Kacie's take, Patrick was being passive-aggressive, making jokes at her expense, and then out of nowhere asked for the ring back when she'd asked for space. Patrick's take,
So I'm pretty upset. Essentially just gives me the cold shoulder. She's not being very communicative, so kind of leaning towards her like gaslighting tactics. So for me, like I was like, I just wanted to understand where I was at. So I was like, I asked her for the ring as a test to see how she would react. I just wanted to see if she was like, does she care more about the ring, the show, me? What does she care about here? And she essentially just said that you think you're the only one that got hurt in the situation. And she said she was done, and she stopped talking to me right there. So, like it was just a little test text.
he was trying to navigate an impossible situation where Kacie wouldn't give him straight answers, and he asked for the ring as a test to see if she cared more about the object or about him.
I gotta know your take on RingGate.
The ring, damn it, the damn ring. Sorry, I lost my language.
You know, I'll always have my boys back, so I gotta say Team Patrick on this one.
I gotta go with my girl Kacie. I'm a girl's girl, and Netflix pays for the rings. Like, come on.
I have it. I haven't sold it. It's in my jewelry box. You know, at this point, I'm like, if anybody gives me any heat on it, I want it.
For me, the ring was just about principle. I mean, I just like wish that she would have put a little bit more effort in, you know, and plus like the way that she handled it when it came back, like I didn't feel as if she like rightfully deserve to have the ring. I didn't pay for the ring. It is what it is.
I get Patrick's side of it, right? At the time, why keep it, right? But I never would ask for a ring back. I gave it to her. I want her to have it. Like, what's the resale value on these things, right?
For me, it just wasn't as big of a deal on the RingGate side.
Sorry, Patrick.
You know, it's a little momentum. You know, memento. Yeah, so memento. That's the correct word, right?
I'm happy for her, and I hope all is well with her.
But here's the detail that changes everything about Kacie's I needed space narrative. Ready for this absolutely wild plot twist? Kacie dated Joe. Yes, Madison's Joe. Starting about 2 months after filming wrapped, let me paint you the picture of how this happened, because it's honestly kind of sad and kind of messy all at once. Kacie's grandmother was in hospice in May. She was in Utah dealing with family trauma on top of the show trauma. She forgot to arrange for someone to feed her cat, who, by the way, is named Chardonnay, which is such a perfect Kacie detail. Joe's best friend lived in Kacie's building. Kacie texted Joe asking if his friend could feed Chardonnay. Joe apparently responded with empathy about how she was going through it. The show, the breakup, her grandmother dying. He mentioned his own family wasn't supportive of his Love is Blind experience either. They bonded. They started dating. It got serious fast. Both families knew about it quickly. Kacie describes it as too intense, too quick. They lasted about 2 months. Now here's why this timeline is relevant to the ring drama. This means by early summer, roughly 3 to 4 months after the reveal with Patrick, Kacie was in a full relationship with another guy from the cast, which makes her I needed space and I wasn't ready explanations to Patrick feel a bit selective. She needed space from Patrick. She apparently didn't need space from dating in general. Comment your theories. Is there a meaningful difference between I need space and I need space from you specifically? But wait until you hear what happened when Madison found out about Kacie and Joe. Last August, over a year after filming, Mike threw a pool party.
There's this pool party that we all went to. This is like the first time the cast finally
I know. I wish this was on camera.
I know the pool party is like a missing episode from the season.
Seriously, well, that's so funny that you say that, because it was, I mean, just the absolute debauchery, right? Like everyone's all broken up.
Like it.
Yeah, and then everyone's at this like massive house. That's when we're all joking. We're all just drunk, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys dated." And we're you know, I haven't talked to her in like months, you know, so it's like I didn't really care.
Everyone's still healing from their respective traumas. Madison had just found out about Kacie and Joe dating. She pulled Kacie aside to talk.
There was this pool party last August. Mike threw it, and we all went. We all got hammered.
Yeah.
But Madison was there, and she just found out about Joe and I.
Oh, okay.
And she pulled me aside to talk, and I thought it was an okay conversation. Her and I are not friends.
Yeah.
Like, I did not feel the need to reach out and say, by the way, I'm dating Joe. Nothing. Like, if Joe wanted to, that's on him. Yeah. It's his ex-fiance. I did not have a relationship with her. And I offhandedly made a joke like, oh, we're Eskimo sisters. Like,
Yeah, that one didn't land.
like, I'm like, I thought that was funny.
Yeah. No.
Not funny. Not funny. Too soon.
Too soon.
Understatement of the year. This Eskimo Sisters comment came up at the reunion as evidence of Kacie being inappropriate with other women's men, and it's part of a pattern that other cast members noticed. Which brings us to, at the reunion, Kacie got hit from multiple angles. Madison claimed Kacie was all over Joe at that pool party. Kacie denies this. Kate claimed Kacie was all over Brendan after the show. Kacie says this is a complete fabrication. Kacie also brought up an incident which didn't air on the reunion about KB, also bringing up an incident where Edmund allegedly tried to pull Kacie into a bathroom at a meetup.
Anyways, I was really close with KB. She got done filming. I was like, I'll come say hi. Edmund was drunk and was like trying to pull me into a bathroom to talk about KB. But KB was like, why are you pulling her into the bathroom?
Yeah.
And it was this whole thing. And I was just like,
in the middle of
I don't know what to do. And that got brought up too. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just kidding. It was like every conversation, I was like, I'm cooked.
Wow.
The entire experience was apparently brutal, and I do think there's an element of pylon happening, where once someone becomes the villain, every interaction gets reinterpreted through that lens. But here's the thing, where there's smoke, there's usually at least a small fire. Maybe Kacie isn't the villain she's being painted as, but the fact that multiple people brought up multiple incidents suggests there's something to the pattern, even if the severity is being exaggerated. Let me know below. When multiple people tell similar stories about someone, is that proof or just groupthink? But we still haven't gotten to the most absurd part of this entire saga. At the reunion, Kacie brought the ring with her. She offered to give it back to Patrick. He said yes, he'd take it. And then, I genuinely need you to understand how unhinged this is. Chris Paul emerged from somewhere, like a tunnel or backstage or possibly a portal to another dimension. The producers decided they would settle the ring situation with a 3-point shooting contest. Kacie in a full dress and heels, Patrick allegedly having played high school basketball, though Kacie notes he couldn't make a basket. So perhaps JV freshman team at best. Chris Paul as referee/host/chaos agent. Chris set up a fun rule. If Kacie wins, she keeps the ring. Patrick describes being backstage before the reunion and Chris Paul recognizing him.
Wasn't on stage yet, and Chris Paul was walking by, and we both like recognized each other. It was so funny. I was like, Chris Paul, and he was like, oh, Patrick. And I was like, oh. I was like, why is Chris Paul coming to the Love Is Blind reunion? I don't know. I heard he's like a super fan, so good for him, you know. It's just, I mean, it's so ironic that it's Chris Paul like making a shoot off for a ring because, you know, he hasn't won a ring. So it's just so ironic.
No one made that joke. How come no one made that joke on the show? Or did it? Was it cut?
Were you close to making a Chris Paul? How close were you to making a Chris Paul ring joke in the middle?
I wanted to so bad, but I know Chris Paul, right? He's a pot stirrer, you know. Like, I don't even know if that was scripted for him to like be like, you gotta shoot off for the ring. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was Chris Paul.
Kacie won the contest while wearing heels, which is honestly impressive, but here's the twist. Patrick said he would give the ring back in Denver, but the hosts weren't having it and made him give it to her on the spot. Drop your hot takes below. Was this a genuine gesture of closure, or was Patrick taking the high road for the cameras? So after all that drama, where did the ring actually end up? And what do their post-reunion interviews reveal about their current mindsets? He talks about something that genuinely broke my heart. In the months after filming, he didn't know why Kacie left.
I never knew why Kacie cut it off. And like for me, I'm just going deep into the depths as far as like why. Like, is it because I'm Asian? Is it because I'm ugly? Is it because I'm not in shape? Is it because I'm not smart enough? Is it because I'm not making enough money? And I'm just breaking it down.
He internalized everything. He's Asian American, grew up as the only Asian kid in his Colorado classes, and he admits he went through every possible reason. He explicitly asks people to stop sending Kacie hate comments. He says they have made peace. He calls the ring situation about principle, wanting her to put in effort and take accountability, rather than about the actual object. Comment your thoughts. Does Patrick's gracious approach make him genuinely evolved, or is he just better at PR? But Kacie's interviews reveal a very different emotional place, and the contradictions are genuinely baffling. Kacie's Off the Vine interview is fascinating for what it reveals about her current mindset and the disconnects in her narrative. Let's start with the obvious. Kacie says she regrets doing the show. She describes it as traumatic. Her family warned her not to do it. They explicitly told her this would happen. Her father had to watch her discuss her landing strip on national television. Apparently, day 3 in the pods is Sex Passion Day, according to the themed notebooks production gives contestants, which explains some of the absolutely unhinged conversations we witnessed. She explicitly states she wants her normal life back, wants to get off the internet, wants to protect her mental health. But here's the contradiction I cannot get past. She's doing podcast tours. She sat down for a lengthy interview to rehash all of this. She's actively engaging with the public narrative. Now, to be completely fair, I don't think Kacie is wrong to want to tell her side of the story. When you're getting booed at a reunion and drowning in online hate, you deserve the chance to provide context and defend yourself. But there's a fundamental disconnect between I want privacy and my normal life back, and I'll do detailed podcast interviews about the situation. Tell me in the comments, if you truly wanted out of the spotlight, would you be doing media appearances or would you go completely silent? And the accountability issue runs even deeper when you examine specific moments. Patrick has some thoughts about Kacie's ability to take responsibility. In his podcast interview, he notes that she struggles with taking accountability in general.
I think she just really struggles with taking accountability in general. I think that's just her personality in general. It's one of those things where that's something that she's got to deal with. That's her own personal problems that she has to deal with. So I'm cool with it. I think we made peace. I don't feel as if it's super genuine, but I think maybe it is slightly. So that's how I feel about it. It's a tough situation when she's going through a lot of backlash, and I'm just trying to make peace with her to get over it and like move forward from the entire debacle. So yeah, that's how I feel about that situation.
And describes it as just her personality. What's interesting is how this observation plays out when you listen to Kacie's own interview. There's a consistent pattern in how she frames every situation. When asked about the Madison-Joe situation, Kacie essentially says she had zero obligation to tell Madison anything because they weren't friends, so the whole controversy is overblown. When asked about the ring, Kacie focuses on Patrick, calling her ex-wifey, as though that justified her initial refusal to return it. The most revealing moment. Kacie says she legitimately thought she was very in love with Patrick at the reveal, while simultaneously admitting she told production her attraction wouldn't grow enough within the timeline.
Because you brought up the attraction to production, but did you ever bring it up to him?
No.
Okay.
Not in person, on camera.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like I'm going to have to like tell him when I get back.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to like,
that's
right in front of his face be like, just so you know, real quick.
Right
before you got here. I don't know, it sounds horrible, but I literally was like, I felt horrible. I felt bad. And it's not like I didn't think like, oh my gosh, in no world could I ever like do this.
Yeah.
He's not my type, but he's like a handsome guy. Like
Yeah.
The girls in my DMs are telling me I'm an idiot, but
of course they are.
Yeah.
But if she had just taken the time or effort to have this conversation with Patrick,
I didn't even know about the background footage. That's the thing. Like, I didn't know about the background footage or her telling me that I'm unattractive and attraction is not going to grow for like until like maybe a month before it was going to air.
Was that hurtful to see, not having seen it, and then like finally gotten over it, and then you got to see all that stuff, and then the stuff you haven't seen?
But yeah, but it made it easier for me to approach like the reunion and everything, because I was like, wow, she clearly says why she was breaking it off when I didn't even know for a long time. So it's like a ton of clarity, and like it's like I don't really need to say much, you know.
she could have saved him a year and a half and brought him this clarity sooner. Did he not deserve at least that? Here's my question. Can you be in love with someone while knowing your attraction won't develop further? That's not love. That's caring about someone while recognizing incompatibility. Those are different things. Let me know what you think. Is Kacie genuinely confused about her feelings, or is she rewriting history to make herself feel better? Now let's talk about the detail from Kacie's interview that makes me question everything she says about wanting privacy. Kacie says she's done with reality TV. She says she wants a normal life. She says she's moving from Denver, possibly to Nashville, to start fresh. And maybe she means it. Maybe this experience was genuinely traumatic enough that she'll never touch a reality show again. But here's my slightly spicy take. I'm calling it now. Give it 6 months to a year and I wouldn't be shocked to see Kacie's name pop up in perfect match casting rumors or on another Netflix dating show. Because here's the thing, people who are truly done with the spotlight go silent. They delete social media or go private. They don't do podcast tours, they don't keep explaining and re-explaining their side. Kacie's actions don't match her words. And I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm saying it because it's a pattern we see constantly in reality TV. People say they're done, they feel overwhelmed, they want privacy, and then 6 months later, they're on our screens again because the pull of potential redemption is too strong. If Kacie actually stays off reality TV permanently, I'll happily admit I was wrong. But I'm filing this under let's revisit in a year and see. Drop your predictions below. Will Kacie stick to her never again stance? Or will we see her on Perfect Match Season 3? Strip away the basketball theatrics, Chris Paul's random appearance, and all the he said, she said drama, and here's what this situation is actually about. Communication under pressure and what happens when you avoid it for too long. Patrick wanted clarity. He wanted honesty. He wanted Kacie to say directly to his face what she was willing to say to production cameras. When she didn't do that, he felt lied to and manipulated. Kacie wanted grace. She wanted time to process. She wanted to avoid hurting someone directly when she was already drowning in the pressure of the show's compressed timeline. Here's the thing, both positions have merit. The problem is they're fundamentally incompatible. In a normal dating situation, Kacie could have said, I need space, and taken a month to figure out her feelings. Patrick could have gotten closure gradually rather than being left in confused limbo. But Love is Blind doesn't allow for normal dating timelines. You get engaged in 10 days, you meet in person for the first time. You have hours, not weeks, to decide if you're going to Baja or going home. The show's format created an impossible situation where there was no good option. And honestly, Kacie leaving immediately was probably less cruel than going to Baja and pretending everything was fine. But here's where my empathy for Kacie's position runs out. Not being comfortable with the timeline is completely valid. Needing space after an intense experience is understandable. But leaving Patrick to marinate in uncertainty for a year and a half, letting him spiral through every possible reason why she left without knowing the truth, that's where this crosses from unfortunate situation into actively hurtful choice. Patrick spent over a year wondering if it was his appearance, his ethnicity, his personality, his career. He internalized everything because Kacie never gave him the honest answer she gave production. And she had opportunities, text messages, that group meetup, any point during the months that followed, to simply say, I wasn't physically attracted enough for this timeline to work, but I did care about you. Would it have been an uncomfortable conversation? Absolutely. Would it have stung? Of course, but it would have given Patrick something. Kacie's approach denied him closure and clarity. Instead, Kacie chose to protect herself from an awkward conversation at the cost of Patrick's mental and emotional well-being. That's not grace. That's avoidance, and Patrick paid the price for that avoidance in months of self-doubt and confusion. Being more direct wouldn't have made Kacie the villain. It would have made her honest, and it would have saved Patrick from a year and a half of unnecessary anguish. Here's my take. Kacie had every right to leave. She had every right to say the timeline didn't work for her, but she didn't have the right to leave Patrick in the dark about why, while simultaneously telling cameras the real reason. That's where this stops being about an impossible situation. It starts being about a failure to treat someone with basic respect. The ring became a symbol of all the unresolved hurt, Patrick's confusion, and Kacie's guilt. That's why something that should have been a simple "here, take it back" turned into a months-long drama culminating in a celebrity basketball game. Tell me in the comments, Team Patrick, Team Kacie, or Team not being honest is worse than being uncomfortable. Patrick seems to be genuinely thriving. He's got the bromance with the guys. Apparently they're super close and still hang out regularly. Sidebar: Patrick mentions they used to do sick a cappella in the pods when this got bored, and I desperately need this footage. He's worked on himself, he's got closure, he's asked people to be kind. Kacie seems to be struggling. She's dealing with family strain, online hate, the aftermath of a toxic ex, and the cognitive dissonance between wanting privacy while also wanting to control her narrative. I have empathy for Kacie's position. The hate she's received is disproportionate to what she actually did, which was be confused and handle a breakup poorly. That doesn't make her a monster, it makes her human. But I also have empathy for Patrick's hurt. Being left in the dark about why someone broke up with you, only to find out a year later that they told cameras you weren't attractive enough, is genuinely painful, especially when you're already dealing with insecurities about representation and stereotypes. They're both going to be fine. Patrick's already fine. Kacie will get there once the show cycle ends and something new captures the internet's attention. The ring? It's sitting in Kacie's jewelry box, worth maybe $2,500 if she tried to sell it, which is probably the most fitting ending to this saga. If there's anything to learn from RingGate, it's this. Compressed timelines don't allow for healthy communication. 10 days to engagement is absurd. Nobody should be surprised when people struggle. Production narratives matter. Kacie telling cameras something different than she told Patrick created a situation where she looked like a liar, even if her feelings were genuinely confused. Social media makes everything worse. Both Patrick and Kacie mentioned doing deep Reddit dives. Patrick says he wishes someone had told him not to read about himself. Kacie describes being beaten down by the hate. None of this is worth your mental health. Accountability and empathy aren't mutually exclusive. Kacie can acknowledge she handled things poorly while still deserving grace for an impossible situation. Both things can be true. The ring situation was never about the ring. It was about two people trying to navigate an emotionally complex situation with cameras everywhere, production in their ear, and no good options available. They both survived. They'll both be fine. And somewhere, that pear-shaped lab diamond sits in a jewelry box, the least valuable $5,000 object in reality TV history. Final question. If you could ask Patrick or Kacie one question they haven't answered yet, what would it be? Drop it in the comments below. And if you made it to the end of this deep dive, thank you for being here. Make sure you're subscribed for more reality TV analysis, hit that like button, and drop a comment with your hottest take on RingGate. Until next time, I'm spilling the tea, one drop at a time.